What's up? It's your boy Kevin to turn on this motherfucking YouTube shit. Wow, what the fuck?
What's up? It's your boy Kevin to turn on YouTube shit. Hey man, we are lit. Let's team man, turn. Motherfucker, today. Show you outside. Big Crip and the gang. Show you outside shit, man. Free Palestine, free Congo, Russia, do your thing, and Texas stand the fuck up. Each day is a new day to be a better version of yourself. Never let somebody bring you down, always fight back. Never let somebody tell you who you are, but also never put yourself in a position of belong. Let's stay humble. Let's get on a revolution on the movement. Keep Yahweh first. Come and choose a black Hebrew Israelite as a real Jew. Let's get into this bitch. Alright, boom. Today, two motherfucker today. Show you outside. Big Crip and the gang. Show you outside shit, man. Gang. Hey, man. This is what's going on, bruh. So, like I said, man, if you're not living under a rock, y'all know it's a war going on. You know what I'm saying? Spiritually, mentally, and a regular war. So, all the stuff that's been going on between Iran and Israel has been bubbling. So, we're going to find out, is Candace Owens really for the black community, or just people who want to win the righteous way? Or is she just getting controlled by a globalistic system that want us all to be puppets to what they got going? We know who Candace Owens is. You know, she talks about BLM. You know, she says a lot of crazy things about black people, you know what I'm saying? And she also exposed the industry for trying to silence her on speaking her truth. And how they try to censor and call her out for saying her truth. But it's like I said, man, it's a lot of good and bad with Candace Owens, because, like I said, she does be tap dancing for the, you know what I'm saying? But hey, she's speaking up real now, you know what I'm saying, on this issue that's going on, but we got to get through the BS first. You know what I'm saying? Now she's speaking on some real shit for the black people or people in general who want to win the righteous way. Let's get into it. Gang, let's get into Candace Owens. What do y'all feel about Candace Owens, man? Last time we talked about Candace Owens, she exposed the industry for making people say certain things and not speak their true truth. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times she went against the black people, against Black Lives Matter, a bunch of shit. So we finna figure out, is she for the black people or is she not? Or just the people in general.
Has witnessed the moderate rise of political commentator Candace Owens. She has made a name for herself by giving what some would call far-right conservative commentary, growing a sizable audience of millions on YouTube who go to her for everything from politics to world news. When I was first introduced to Candace on YouTube, I listened to one of her videos and I thought she was making some very important points. I'm not at all into politics and you guys know that about me. I don't choose sides as I don't give my attention to the show.
Me either.
But what I liked about Candace
they both controlled by the
she
same
seemed to
people.
stand up for traditional Christian values. Not only was she calling out people like Cardi B for pushing degeneracy to her female fans, but she was also calling out the secret elite men who pull the strings behind the scenes. From the first impression of her, I thought she was on the side of the growing truth movement. But as I saw her grow in the media space, I started seeing an opposing side to what she presented herself as. She seemed to become more and more hypocritical and less honest the bigger she became, to the point where I started to see who Candace Owens really is. In today's episode, I will prove that Candace isn't who she claims to be. She is a puppet of the elite she pretends to be against.
Zorro.com knows
that Candace isn't who she claims to be. She is a puppet of the elite she pretends to be against. Hey guys, I hope all is well. Welcome back to The Truth Is, where I drop new videos exposing the truth weekly. Now, Candace Owens is one of the most popular right-wing conservative commentators online. She has grown a YouTube following of over 4 million subscribers, with most of her podcast episodes accumulating millions of views per upload. She has managed to build a massive platform that is supposed to stand on traditional Christian values. She managed to do all this seemingly overnight, with massive attention since the very beginning of her career. Before we get into the reasons why Candace Owens is controlled opposition, let's look into her background to understand her.
I think she's trying to get past that now. She might be still, I don't know.
Candace Owens was not working in commentary. She was actually the CEO of a company called Degree 180, which was labeled a marketing agency, but was really just a blog made by Candace Owens. In those days, she used her blog to write about liberal ideas, and in fact, back then, she used to make fun of Donald Trump, who eventually became her hero, which compared to what she is known for today, seems highly hypocritical, but we will get into more of that later. The Candace Owens the world knows today wasn't born until 2016, when she decided to launch a website called socialautopsy.com, a website that was supposed to be a tool used against cyberbullying. The website was supposed to help people being cyberbullied identify their bully and essentially dox them. As the way the website would work, the person being cyberbullied would take a screenshot of the person cyberbullying them and then upload it to the website. The website would then give them the personal information of the person. When Candace announced her website, it wasn't well received, with many commentators speaking out against it, as it was clearly a massive privacy issue and a tool that could be used for doxing. Some people were so upset at the idea that they began to cyberbully her, even going as far as to dox her and leak her personal information online. This is when she decided to take a break from the internet and disappeared for some time, coming back as the new conservative Candace Owens. Candace admits herself that she became a conservative overnight and blames this specific incident for it. Candace started becoming popular in 2018 when she co-founded and promoted Bleckit, which was a campaign to convince black liberals to convert to conservatives. She also began speaking out against the Black Lives Matter movement that had sparked after the death of George Floyd. What made her most popular, though, was this tweet by Kanye West, as Kanye tweeted back in 2018 that I like the way Candace Owens thinks. This launched her online presence instantly. She started being invited to massive media platforms like Fox to speak about her new conservative views. One day to the next, Candace had switched sides, and she was instantly catapulted to the very top of the conservative media space. Now, when I first discovered Candace, I didn't know she was a political commentator.
A lot of Black Lives Matter stuff, I do feel like it was a scam.
With politics,
you know what I'm saying? Because
I think it's all just a facade system created to create the illusion of choice. Give people the feeling they have some control over our country, when in reality, those who truly control our country can't be voted for. I have also exposed how all but one U.S. president is related to the royal family, all of them being relatives of King John of England. Something else I have proven so many times is that America was created by Freemasons. Most of the American founding fathers were Freemasons. Many of the U.S. presidents have been open Freemasons, while the rest are closeted Masons. To this day, you can't become a president unless you're a part of the royal bloodline and are a Freemason. The entire right wing and left liberals is all nonsense created for division and to separate people. What laws get passed and the things that change aren't because of the Democratic or Republican administrations. It isn't because of the left or the right side. It's because those who really run the world wanted it to happen. They created both sides, and they're the ones who dictate what will happen. That's why it's called the right wing and the left wing. They're two wings of the same beast. The fact that Candace buys into politics so much and pushes aside is something that instantly exposes who she really is to me. Before I expose the true Candace Owens, let's take a look at the things that made me initially like her. One of the things that I liked when I first found her content was that she had no issue standing up for Christianity. She would bring up the obvious decline in traditional Christian values. She had no issues calling out the system. And
that's what I'm saying.
For example, in this clip, she could be heard blaming Hollywood for pushing propaganda against Christian beliefs.
Renting a car.
Blaming Hollywood for pushing propaganda against Christian beliefs.
He thought Christianity was something that to be embarrassed of growing up, and that is by design. He used to teach the Bible in classrooms all across the U.S. We used to pray in schools.
What does that mean, though? That's a good thing.
Filed, and that all went away beginning in the 1960s, and it's been intentional. It's been intentional to divide Christians, to make people like me feel embarrassed to have had extremely Christian grandparents who wanted us to pray around the dinner table, and they're doing that again. They want you to think that being a Christian now is synonymous with white supremacy. Who is behind it? Well, we know that anything that is demonic and backwards and satanic will, of course, be sponsored by Hollywood, which is, for the record, demonic and backwards and satanic.
They are constantly attacking the family unit because the government wants full control over your life. It's the same reason, by the way, that they mock Christians, because the goal is to make sure that you believe in nothing but government deliverance. That for every problem that you have, which, by the way, the government created, the government can somehow solve it. That is the idea. The idea is, well, we need the government to give us welfare. We need the government to give us COVID checks. What are we going to do? Government. The government seeks to be the God in your life. So let me suggest that you get a real one.
What she said here, I agree with. I feel that this country has abandoned God, and it wasn't necessarily by choice, but by conditioning. The elite have used Hollywood and the music industry to corrupt the morals of our modern society. Hollywood has introduced a new moral system, which is no moral system. Candace spoke out about that and did it in a way I respected. She also spoke out about the music industry using female artists to push degeneracy and to convince women that doing OF and over-sexualizing themselves is a form of women empowerment. Again, this is something I agreed with Candace very much, and it's what made me initially like her. What I respected the most about Candace is that she appeared to have no issues with calling out the secret societies that run America, the Freemasons. Candace Owens herself admits she knows America was established by Freemasons. She also admits that Masons have been rewriting history to align with their Masonic history. She stated all of this openly on her show.
What is Freemasonry? Full stop, okay? During the late Middle Ages, the world was united under the Holy Roman Catholic Church. So if you had any opposition to the church throughout Europe, you were forced to go underground, right? We were a Christian society. And among the only organized groups that were able to move freely throughout Europe were the guilds of stonemasons. And they would then be therefore, because they could move freely, hence free masons, were able to maintain meeting halls or lodges in literally every major city. And the Masons were essentially very talented at architecture, and they had a bunch of secret knowledge, sometimes secret knowledge of architecture and of other topics. That knowledge was dated back to the times of Egypt, right? And it was essential maintaining this knowledge in the construction of European churches and cathedrals. So one of the things that is well known is the Freemasons were in opposition to the church, right? They wanted to crush the church, which is why it is not ironic that the person who founded the Mormon church, as just one example, many of the churches, the very many Protestant faiths that we have, was Joseph Smith, and he was a Freemason. That's a fact, just one example. Now, you may know some people that are Freemasons, and you're going, well, I know this person, and he goes to a lodge, and he's completely harmless. Yes, it is a known thing that 97% of Freemasons are not in the top tier degree of Freemasonry. It is understood that at the top tier degree of Freemasonry, you essentially become one of the makers of the world. Now, I remember, and I've spoken about this on this podcast, but one of the things that kind of ripped me into a new reality last year when I was studying with some priests was they sort of looked at me. I was in London at the time, and they just said to me in the kindest way possible, you Americans don't know anything about real history. You know nothing about your own country. You don't even know that your country was established by Freemasons, right? And it's interesting, of course, that I'm referring to Catholic priests. I believe one of the reasons why people hate Catholicism or hate Catholics is because Catholics know history. Have been recording history for a long time. So if you're a Freemason and you're working to rewrite history, or you're telling people that America was established because of this or because of that, and you completely remove the aspects of Freemasonry from our textbooks as they have, then you're going to be at conflict with the Catholic Church, who remembers everything and keeps very good records of history. So just for those of you guys who've never even heard of that, and like I said, I would have been among you. I'm very new to relearning American history through the lens of Freemasonry. Some known Freemasons: George Washington was a Freemason, Thomas Jefferson was a Freemason, Benjamin Franklin was a Freemason, Buzz Aldrin was a Freemason. Don't get me started. For those of you that have listened to this podcast for a long time, you don't know where I'm at when it comes to NASA and the weird satanic chants that they were doing to establish the Apollo program and all the weird stuff that happened leading up to the moon landings. I freaked out when I learned Buzz Aldrin was a Freemason. It's not helping my case in believing those moon landings. I'll tell you that for free. Franklin Roosevelt was another Freemason, Sigmund Freud, that got me into a lot of trouble this year because I started speaking about Sigmund Freud, member of B'nai B'rith, and I was telling you, this guy who keeps writing about child's, there are some things you should know about him. He was a Freemason. Mozart was a Freemason.
This is something that, once again, I pretty much agree with. Like I already said earlier, the Freemasons established America. I even played a clip of a play that was hosted by Freemasons. They depicted Masons dressed as George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, talking about how the Freemasons created America to operate strictly off Masonic principles. In that clip, Candace was speaking the truth. The Freemasons did create America and have rewritten history. All of these things that Candace said shows us that she knows the truth. But the fact that she knows the truth,
but she's not getting to the point.
Today,
where did all that start?
She isn't a woman for the truth. Instead, she's just another controlled opposition puppet. Candace Owens was definitely planted in the right-wing conservative media space. This is easy to see and hard to deny. She literally came out of nowhere and was being tweeted out by Kanye West and being invited on Fox News. That was the first obvious red flag.
That's why I think it might be
indication that she is controlled opposition. The system only bigs up those a part of the system. If Candace wasn't a part of that system, she wouldn't be tweeted out by Kanye or being invited on Fox News. She definitely wouldn't have 4 million followers or have that much algorithm support on YouTube and social media. All of this attention she is receiving proves the machine is pushing her. After looking deeper into her, I was able to find definitive proof that she's controlled opposition. See, Candace Owens was initially releasing her shows through a platform called Praise For You. Her Candace Owens show was hosted on there from 2018 until 2021. Praise For You is basically controlled by the Wilkes brothers, two billionaire brothers who invested over $8 million in that company. These billionaire elites who made their money in petroleum used PagerU to push whatever propaganda they wanted to push. Candace was just another mouthpiece to push whatever propaganda they wanted. In fact, Candace Owens even rallied for the private prison industries, the people who have monetized incarceration and has used shady techniques to increase the number of inmates they get. For example, like I explained before, the same people invested in the private prison industries are invested in the music industry. The record labels are encouraged to sign more gangster rappers to promote a criminal lifestyle in order to influence more people to end up in a private prison. Back in 2019, Candace did a video for the organization Turning Point USA, which she is the communication director of. That video was essentially an ad for a private prison company called the Geo Group. The Geo Group's entire business is locking people up and making trillions of dollars off of it. The Geo Group wanted some good press, so they donated $50,000 to Turning Point USA. Immediately after they received that money, Candace Owens did a whole story on the Geo Group facility, praising it and claiming that private prisons are better than regular prisons. Clearly, this was a paid ad and a sponsorship with Candace having no issues promoting the corrupt private prison industry. This clearly goes against her Christian values. Now, another clear indication that she's a controlled opposition puppet is the fact that she's a right-wing conservative commentator. Candace already knows the truth about America. She knows America was created by Freemasons. She knows it is controlled by Freemasons. She knows all the presidents are Freemason puppets. But yet, she still plays the game and tries to convince her followers to pick a side and still be a part of the Matrix. The fact that she admits Freemasons run the country and it's all a sham, but then makes content consistently telling people to choose the right and vote for the right, tells you that she's controlled opposition. If she was really against the system for the truth, she wouldn't be endorsing either side and playing a part in the yearly play. Candace is such a shill that when she started her career, she made fun of President Trump's manhood size, making a blog post calling it small. She then became a conservative and Trump became God to her. But now, she's once again calling Trump out and going against him. This woman is a mouthpiece grifter that can pick any side whenever she feels like it. I myself recommend you don't choose either side and just choose God, as he's our only real leader. Candace is just saying whatever they want her to say. This is what changed my perspective on her and also her transition from Christian to Catholic. Like I've already said before, I don't have issues with those who are Catholics, as many people don't know the history of the church. I was born into a Catholic family, and I helped my family see the truth behind Catholicism. How the Roman Catholic Church is just a continuation of the pagan Roman Empire. Now, I'm not going to go deep into that in this video, as I just covered all of this on my Patreon exclusive video about the new American Pope. If you haven't seen that yet, go check it out after this one. Candace claims to know the history of America and how it is corrupted by the Masons, but then pretends to not know the history of the Roman Catholic Church and how it's just pagan Rome in disguise. On top of this, these photos of her conversion ceremony was pretty strange, as the Catholic Church looked awfully similar to a Masonic lodge. In this picture, you can see the church where she did her conversion, and you can quickly notice the Masonic checkerboard floor. You can also notice the 2 Masonic pillars of knowledge that could be found at every Masonic lodge. You can't tell me this doesn't look like a Masonic lodge. Add this with photos like this one, in which Candace is seen doing Masonic hand gestures while wearing a red Trump hat. If Candace admits to knowing about the Freemasons, why is she then using Masonic hand gestures? Why is she also converting to Catholicism? And why does this Catholic church look like a Masonic lodge? None of this is adding up. You know what else isn't adding up? Her connections to Kanye. Now, like I said earlier, Candace Owens owes most of her popularity to Kanye West. As if he wouldn't have shouted her out, she would likely still be unknown by most. But the thing is, Kanye shouting out Candace Owens already proves she is compromised. Let's take a look at her hypocrisy in full effect. Candace has spoken out against hip-hop artists like Cardi B, pushing degeneracy through their music. Every chance she got, she called out the horrible messages in the mainstream music industry. But then she had no issues promoting Kanye West's Ultras album, an album in which Kanye presented his wife Bianca being sexualized right on the cover of the album. She even promoted some of the songs on the album that were openly pushing the very things she claims to be against. It doesn't make any sense. If she claims she is against the music industry pushing degeneracy, why would she then support Kanye doing that very thing openly? Another thing Candace Owens has spoken out about that I agree with is her views on adult content. She has claimed that adult content is targeted towards men to enslave and destroy them. She speaks out about this multiple times on her show and calls out people who engage in it and promote it. But when Kanye does it, it's okay, and she has nothing to say. If she has an issue with famous people promoting adult content, then why does she have no issues with one of the most famous people in the world pushing it? Kanye has come out and been open about his love for adult content. Not only did he tweet out adult content on his Twitter, which is followed by millions, but he promised to make an adult content on his Twitter, which is followed by millions, but he promised to make an adult film site. One more thing. Remember in this video where Candace was talking about the Freemasons and how they used ancient Egyptian imagery and satanic imagery? Candace calls out the satanic imagery in Hollywood and the music industry all the time. Yet she said nothing about Kanye using that same satanic imagery in his music videos. In Kanye's Power music video, he's wearing a giant Horus chain. The Egyptian god Horus is one of the main Egyptian gods worshipped by occultists, specifically Freemasons, which is the reason they use the all-seeing eye of Horus, and Aleister Crowley's religion Thelema, as they see Horus as the god of the current age we're in. Kanye is an obvious occultist, and Candace obviously knows this, so why does she openly support him? Kanye goes against everything she claims to stand for. But like Candace happily admitted, she will support Kanye no matter what. That's because she's not about telling the truth. She's about being a controlled opposition puppet. Another controversial person that she promotes, despite them going against everything she promotes, is no other than Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate has managed to fool the world into believing he's some kickboxing superhero that would save the world from being brokies and help them escape the Matrix, when in reality, he's an S-trafficking, slick-talking serpent who's the furthest thing from a morally based person. So many people were praising Andrew Tate as he was the poster child for the red pill space that is closely connected to the right-wing conservatives. Because he was so popular with those in the right wing, Candace knew she had to align herself publicly with him no matter what. In reality, Candace's relationship with Andrew Tate goes back to before he was even famous. Andrew Tate was actually friends with Candace Owens' husband, so her stance on Andrew Tate is completely compromised, and it's why she denies the obvious when it comes to him. Right now, Andrew Tate is being investigated for S-trafficking allegations. Allegations that Andrew Tate has basically admitted to doing several times, but now denies. There are countless interview appearances where Andrew openly admits he's a pimp and how he used cam girls to get rich. Yet, Candace had him on her platform and defended him countless times. Is she defending Andrew Tate because of what he stands for? Or is it because he's connected to her husband? It also helps that he's loved by the red pill, which she knows is a part of her core audience. The fact that she defends Andrew Tate is enough evidence that she isn't on the side of the truth. She's a mouthpiece for whoever pays her. Right now, Candace is easily making millions of dollars pretending to be a truth warrior, when in reality, she's a puppet with alternative agendas. If you stand for the truth, don't support the lies. Don't listen to a woman who is pushing whatever propaganda they pay her to push.
Apparently, she actually fighting for
she is a puppet of the worst kind. Since so many people have been waking up lately and seeing the truth, the elite are now creating so many controlled opposition agents like never before to misguide our movement. Candace claims Christ is king, but then is supporting those who call themselves God. She called out Little Nas X for mocking Christianity, but said nothing to Kanye for calling himself God and mocking Christianity. The hypocrisy is on another level with this woman. I provided more than enough evidence to prove she's controlled opposition. So if you watch this, don't let her fool you like she almost did me. It's important we remember that every day we wake up, our souls are at stake. And we must also remember to help those who can't see the truth find the truth. Well, that's it for this
Let's
video.
Keep on looking then. Alright, so we, like I said, man, Candace Owens exposed net, you know what I'm saying, Netanyahu goofy ass. Shout out to Fantastical Wise. Like I said, man, I feel like Candace Owens was getting used, you know what I'm saying, earlier, but the way I see how Kanye worked, you know what I'm saying, they say the most blatantly outrageous, craziest shit in the world one day, and then the next day they'll, like, give out the truth, and everybody like, what the fuck, you know what I'm saying, so I think she's just doing the same damn thing, saying the most crazy, outrageous, craziest shit she can fucking find in her fucking head to get people a reaction and then expose the truth.
You called the escalation between Israel and Iran a propaganda war. We all know what's been going on between Israel and Iran. We've heard President Trump speak about it. You've been on the record calling it a propaganda war. Explain that, Candace.
I'm with Iran, bitch.
Well, it was very obvious that this war was going to happen because the American foreign policy is dictated by Israel. And it was problematic that Bibi Netanyahu was increasing his rhetoric against Iran. And this is after they have effectively seized land in Syria. They were cheering what happened in Syria. We knew that it was going to wind up with Christians being mass murdered, which is what's happening right now. And what's happening in the Middle East, for those who aren't clear on this, is Israel is simply expanding its borders, whether that be by carpet bombing women and children, which we have not had a person with power effectively say that this is morally wrong, of course. And now it seems they also want to annex the West Bank. What's happening in the West Bank, which has nothing to do with Gaza, is the individuals that live there are being traumatized by the IDF. And so if you're paying attention, it's very clear that they have become increasingly radical, and they are effectively, as they always do, using the American military to fulfill their foreign policy interests because they are a small nation. They don't have the bodies to be able to accomplish that. They need the might of the American military to accomplish their foreign Middle Eastern objectives. And so, yeah, it was very, I am on record saying this for the last 2 years. We're going to war with Iran one way or the other because what Bibi Netanyahu wants, what Bibi Netanyahu gets.
How is that the case? Because, listen, I'm watching The Daily Show the other day, and I'm watching Jon Stewart, who obviously is a supporter. He's Jewish, and he's a supporter of the Jewish community in Israel, of course. But he spoke out about how Netanyahu was saying the same thing recently that he said in 2018, that he said in 2015, that he said in 2011. And what's surprising to me is that there seems to be a community divided within the own Jewish community. You have some people who are about being isolationists, which is something we'll get into later, and don't necessarily support this. And then you got guys like conservative pundit Mark Levin, who I know that you know a thing or two about. You know I know him. I've known him for years, and he is fixated on this. He believes that America should be involved. He believes that Iran is evil and that they need to be wiped off the face of this earth, and that essentially,
the only reason they say that because they're looking at themselves in the mirror.
Not just Israel, but death to America as well justifies the kind of things
like
that we have been seeing. Do you have it? You know,
just because they said it on the plate doesn't mean that the other one's not saying it in private.
Absolutely, and I think one of the things that the public needs to recognize is this intentional conflation, and it's completely wrong, of Israel the foreign nation, which is being led up by Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, and Jewish people. That would be an absolute nonsense if I sat here and I said, well, whatever happens in Nigeria, it means that if you critique the Nigerian government, that you're somehow against black people in America. We would all say that's nonsense, but they have been very successful in this idea that if you critique what is happening in the Middle East and what actions are being led by Bibi Netanyahu's government, radical government, then you're somehow anti-Semitic. So it shouldn't surprise you to see that many Jewish people have taken to the streets. Not only Jewish people, by the way, Israelis, because as we know, even in America, you can be an American and not support what the government is doing. I am not supporting right now decisions that are being made by the Trump campaign as it pertains to Middle Eastern policy. But they have this agreement. You have Israelis taking to the street, boycotting, protesting Bibi Netanyahu. And similarly, you have Jewish people who recognize that there has been this wrong conflation, as if all Jewish people agree with the nonstop campaign of bombing in the Middle East, which has essentially been in effect since 1948, since the creation of Israel as a nation. And so I'm not conflicted or confused about what's happening. I find it to be as disingenuous as attaching, well, if you critique Black Lives Matter as an organization, this means that you're critiquing all black people. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that whatsoever. I'm critiquing the Israeli Prime Minister. I am critiquing their actions, really their actions, which have began since 1948. It has always been despicable. It has always been a campaign of carpet bombing and theft, stealing lands. And when people notice what they're doing, they say, well, you can't say that because of anti-Semitism. That's ridiculous, okay? You know how I feel about this, especially as someone who's been called Uncle Tom and a coon for critiquing things that were happening within the black community. I'm not going to respond to name calling. I'm going to respond to the facts. The facts are what Bibi Netanyahu is doing in the Middle East is a terrorist campaign.
I saw a recent episode, I forgot who you were talking to, forgive me for not knowing his name, but you were showing highlights of Dave Portnoy, for Barstool, and how he was going at one of the individuals that I think he employs, and he went ballistic because of a joke that was being aimed in his direction or what have you, and I don't remember the joke, so I apologize for that, but you were highlighting his reaction because you were pointing out how he could joke about some things, but if you joke about anything at this particular moment in time, it's going to be labeled anti-Semitic. Is that something that you feel fervently about, that you feel adamant about, in terms of you just can't say anything is such a lopsided thing? Because when I think about the Jewish community, of course, I'm looking at some of the things that are transpiring. I don't like it one bit. In the same breath, I'm thinking about October 7th from a couple of years ago when they were attacked and people were kidnapped, people were killed, etc., etc. And the retaliation on their part was predictable and in the eyes of a lot of people understandable. That's where I come from with it. Where are you coming from with it when I use a Portnoy example or others as you allude to anti-Semitism, which is obviously a grave concern for the Jewish community at this particular moment in time?
First and foremost, I can think of nothing more anti-Semitic than 2 years of bombing the Palestinians, who are a Semitic people. That's another thing. They just decided they're the only Semitic people, which is absolutely absurd and it's erroneous. But further to your point, there was this media effort, and we've all seen over the last 2 years, there's been this increasing slur of anti-Semitism everywhere. Like, people who have been in the public space forever and have never been accused of being anti-Semites are now being accused of being anti-Semites. Me being one of them. I worked for 2 Jewish organizations before I was suddenly being accused of being anti-Semitic. So sometimes on its face, you have to ask yourself a question. And again, I will use the example of BLM, where suddenly it seemed like everyone was being accused of racism to the point that it was becoming a parody. Like, someone would braid their hair and they'd be like, cancel this girl because this is appropriation. When you start to see that increase, and what people are actually trying to do is control speech, right? This guy said, I think it's okay if someone jokes at you and calls you Rabbi Dave Portnoy. You should be able to take a joke, right? Welcome to the internet. Everyone's called different things. And he has a meltdown and asks him, Dave Portnoy says, how many Jews have to die before you stop joking? That's an emotional manipulation tactic, okay? Nobody dies from a joke, okay? Nobody dies if somebody tweets at Dave Portnoy, hey, you're Rabbi Dave Portnoy now, as they're critiquing you. And you only do that, you only start to come in on speech and to demand all these rules and these cancellations when you have something to hide, when you are wrong, okay? Because when you're winning on the basis of your ideas, when you're winning on the basis of the argument, you don't ask for more censorship. I want the debate. When I know I'm right about something, I'm not going censor the wrong guy. I'm like, platform the wrong guy, get me across from him so I can embarrass him. So we knew this was coming on the basis of this increase of smearing people as anti-Semites for asking rational questions. And so I'm not surprised that we've arrived at this point.
This is if Iran says death to America, why doesn't that concern you?
Okay, that's a chant. And by the way, I want to be very clear. Why are they chanting death to America? Why are they chanting that? That's kind of a random thing. Like, I don't wake up one day and go like, dead? But why do they want... Why are they specifically chanting as opposed to saying, I don't know, death to China or death to Russia? What is it specifically about America?
Well, they say death to America, death to Israel, death to the United Kingdom, actually.
Oh, okay.
Death to pretty much anyone that wants to stand up to them.
Could have had something to do with our actions in the Middle East is why I'm saying that we need a change in foreign policy. It maybe has something to do with just like killing 1 million Iraqi civilians, okay, because Bibi Netanyahu got on a congressional stage and said there are weapons of mass destruction, and we took that to the bank, and there actually were no weapons of mass destruction, so we just killed 1 million. It could have something, I could be crazy, it could have something to do with our actions in the Middle East. The fact that we have 2,000 troops stationed in Syria right now under the guise of saying that we're fighting ISIS, while at the same time we know that Bibi Netanyahu funded the Al-Qaeda adjacent front because he wanted to overthrow Syria, and they again expand their borders, immediately take on territory and sell us absolute nonsense. We're talking about funding Hamas. Bibi Netanyahu funded Hamas. There is footage of Bibi Netanyahu saying this stuff on camera. So it's just so ridiculous to me to pretend that they're in some predicament, that they may be eradicated soon, which is why they have to keep funding all of these terrorist groups and then pretending that they're victims of terror, when in fact they are the people that are imparting it worldwide. You know, I just think that, like I said, Generation 9/11 has grown up, and I think that our eyes are very clear here, and we recognize that our relationship with Israel has become increasingly problematic, and it always was problematic. So I'll again ask the questions, Piers. I'm asking you because we're having a conversation. Name something positive that our Zionist AIPAC foreign policy has brought to America.
Well, I think the positive side of, if you want an answer about that, is that America has been Israel's steadfast ally because it recognizes as a country that Israel has been under an almost unique, multifaceted threat on its border for a very long time from people that want to destroy it. And, you know, that you may not see that as a benefit, but Israel has been very supportive to the United States in many ways. Right, so why shouldn't America...
I just want something concrete that has been benefit. Like, we got better in America in this way. Like, just name something. Gas prices, just something.
Hey man, shout out to IUIC Tallahassee. These people be on TikTok a lot. These are like Hebrew Israelites who know the truth.
This is Netanyahu's DNA test that has been leaked. You can see right there his Y DNA is RM198. Descendants of RM198 come from Poland, Russia, Germany, and other European countries. Does this look Semitic to you? Does this look Middle Eastern?
At this moment in time, at this moment in history, who God's chosen actually are. And it ain't the Polish Bibi Netanyahu.
That's a fact.
God says all of those that are on high, they're going to be brought low. That's free. And the kings of the earth upon the earth. Come on. And they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit. Come on. And shall be shut up in the prison. And at the many days shall they be visited. Read. Then the moon shall be confounded and the sun ashamed. Meaning with all of their wisdom, all of their technology is going to be put to shame. Read. Right. When the Lord of hosts shall reign in Mount Zion. In Mount where? In Mount Zion. Read. And in Jerusalem. Because we the real Jews. Right.
That's a fact.
Ancient, glorious. Hey, so all praise to the Most High for another episode of Writings on the Wall.
We the real Jews.
Give me that next one with Candace. We almost done. And I want you to go to the right timestamp. Y'all got the timestamp?
What does he stand for? What are his beliefs? What is his story?
He's evil.
This story begins
That's
in
definition of
October
true evil,
1949. 1 year after Israel's formation. This is when Netanyahu was born, the second child of a historian.
This is the people we need to
His
get on.
maternal grandfather was a rabbi and a Zionist writer. His name was Nathan Milikowski. Later in life, he Hebraized his surname from Milikowski to Netanyahu, a name which means God has given.
This is Yair Netanyahu's DNA test that has been leaked. You can see right
So
there.
pause. It's showing you that's not his real name. Right. It's not his real name.
Wow.
He's an imposter. He's a counterfeit. Counterfeit. All right, go back.
That's not even his real last name.
To Netanyahu, a name which means God has given.
This is Yair Netanyahu's DNA test that has been leaked. You can see right there his Y DNA is RM198. Descendants of RM198 come from Poland, Russia, Germany, and other European countries. Does this look Semitic to you? Does this look Middle Eastern?
At this moment in time, at this moment in history, who God's chosen actually are. And it ain't the Polish Bibi Netanyahu.
You see that thing right there? Let's get him outside round of applause. It ain't them.
It's not
Revelations
them.
2:9. Revelations 2:9. Come on. Come on, Ati. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich.
All these
And I know
control
the
motherfucking
blasphemy of
puppets
them which say they
ain't
are
go
Jews
nowhere.
and are not. And are
God
not,
telling
but
people
are
coming
who?
up.
Are the
You know the
synagogue
truth.
of Satan. But are the synagogue of Satan. But are the synagogue of Satan.
Synagogue
Now,
of Satan.
watch this. Give me Isaiah 2. Because last time I checked, when we read Jeremiah the 30th chapter, when we read throughout the scriptures,
They can talk
Joel,
all
the
the
second
type of
chapter,
shit on black
the
people,
real
but when
Israelites,
it comes down to
they're
them
gonna
people,
be getting
we can't say
persecuted.
nothing.
They're going to be
But
the
when
ones
it comes
going
to
to
us,
slavery.
they can
They're
say
going to be the
whatever.
ones living
And
in
we
an
the real
impoverished state.
chosen people, the real Jews.
But you don't see that today. Nope. You see the people that say they are the Jews living the total opposite. Right. Now, the Bible says when the real Israelites inherit the land, it says that certain things are going to be taking place. Yes. We're just going to read about that real quick. Give me Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 2. Come on. Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 2. Come on. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains. Come on. And shall be exalted above the hills. And all nations shall flow unto it. This is talking about Mount Zion, Jerusalem. Come on. And many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his path. For out of Zion shall go forth the law. Come on. And the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. But today, you don't see the word of the Lord coming from Jerusalem. Right. You see murder. You see homosexual marriage. That's what you see coming from the land today. That's right. Give me Revelation 22 and 1. We coming right back. Coming right back to this. Revelations 22 and 1. Let me hear it. Revelation chapter 22 and verse 1. Go ahead. And he showed me a pure river of water of life. Excuse me. Clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb. That's the law right there. Come on. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river was there the tree of life. Come on. Which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. Right. That's going into the understanding the laws coming out every month. Verse 3. And there shall be no more curse. There shall be what? No more curse. So in that day, what? There's not going to be any more curse, no more slavery. But today we're still in captivity. Right. Our people still in slavery over there in Mauritania and other Arab countries. Read. But the throne of God and of the Lamb shall be in it. Come on. And his servants shall serve him. And his servants shall serve. That's going into the 144. So now let's go back to Isaiah chapter 2. And I want you to pick up at verse 4, officer. Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 4. Come on. And he shall judge among the nations. God said he's going to judge amongst the nations. Come on. And shall rebuke many people. And shall rebuke many people. Read. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares. Watch this. And their spears into pruning hooks. Nations shall not lift up sword against nations. Watch this. Neither shall they learn war anymore. So if they're the real Jews, why is there war going on right now? Right. We cannot forget these. Right. This is the Bible. That's right. If they're the real Jews, why is there war going on right now? They're not the real Jews.
Never was.
That's why.
Never
it's
was.
as plain as that. Give me that. Our next video, Iran bombs U.S. Embassy. Let's make it quick. Come on. Fellas, A lot of things are happening right now. One of Iran's strikers hit the embassy of the United States of America in Tel Aviv. Americans are rushing left, right, center. Donald Trump left the G7 meeting to go and sit down about this war. Emmanuel Macron saying France is going to get involved against Iran. The Taliban have reacted. Pakistan says they are ready to drop the atomic bomb.
All right, so you can take that down. So you had Iran bomb the U.S. Embassy in Israel. Give me Jeremiah 3:17 real quick. All right, we only got 2 more verses. Get that last video ready. IT.
Jeremiah chapter
3:17.
Yes, sir. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 17. At that time shall they call Jerusalem the throne of the Lord.
So this is going into when the Israelites go back to the land. It says at that time they're going to call Jerusalem what?
The throne of the Lord.
Come on.
And all the nations shall be gathered unto it.
But today you see all the nations are against it. Right. You understand? Total polar opposites. Showing you what they are not the people. These are fake Jews. They not the people of God.
Right.
Read.
To the name of the Lord. To Jerusalem. Neither shall they walk anymore after the imagination of their evil heart.
Now, let's pull up the last one. Pull up the last one. We're going to end it on this. Play that.
Shalom לכולם, אנחנו נמצאים.
Is there a caption on this video?
במוגן, צריך להגיד גם
So pause it. Put up the caption. All right, read that.
Transition. Due to the Iranian missiles, Israel is gradually transforming into an underground society, which life officially set in parking garages and shelters.
You see that right there? These are the people of God. Right. Why are they hiding?
Cause they scared, nigga. They scared.
Exactly.
Cause they ain't the real ones.
Play it.
שלום לכולם, אנחנו נמצאים במקלט הממוגן, צריך להגיד גם המאוברר. בקומה -4, דיגון סנטר, ומה שאנחנו עושים פה בעצם...
Everywhere they go, they get ran out of. Because they're not the real people. All they do is take people's stuff and manipulate and try to act like they're the people they not.
You see them, they got the underground bunkers. Let's close right here. Give me Isaiah 24:16.
Isaiah 24, verse 16. From the uttermost part of the earth have we heard songs, even glory to the righteous. But I said, my leanest, woe unto me.
Come on.
The treacherous dealers have dealt treacherously.
Right, America, Israel, they have dealt very treacherously with the people of God. Come on.
Yeah, the treacherous dealers have dealt very treacherously. Fear and the pit and the snare are upon thee, O inhabitant of the earth.
Come on.
And it shall come to pass that he who flees from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit.
Shall do what?
Shall fall into the pit.
That pit is those bunkers that we just saw. They're very fearful. Why? Because God is not on their side.
Right.
Read.
And he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare.
Come on.
For the windows from on high are open, and the foundation of the earth do shake.
They do shake. Why? Because of those bombs that are dropping. War. Read.
The earth is utterly broken down.
Come on.
The earth is clean, dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly.
Come on.
The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard.
Read.
And shall be removed like a cottage. And the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it. And it shall fall and shall not rise again.
And what?
And not rise again.
Why? Because our kingdom is coming.
That's right.
And we're going to rule forever.
That's right.
Read some more.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall punish
Big
the
fact.
host of the high ones that are on high.
God says all of those that are on high, they're going to be brought low.
That's right. And the kings of the earth upon the earth.
Come on.
And they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit.
Come on.
And shall be shut up
Yes,
in the prison.
our time
And the
is
wicked days shall
coming.
they be visited.
Black people just
And
gotta
the
be
moon
patient.
shall be confounded. And the sun
Not fake,
ashamed.
real.
Anyone, all of their wisdom, all of their technology is going to be put to shame. Read.
When the Lord of hosts shall
Yeah,
reign
Israelites,
in Mount
wake up.
Zion.
In Mount where?
In Mount Zion.
Read.
And in Jerusalem.
Because we the real Jews.
We the real ones.
His ancient glorious.
Hey, so all praise to the Most High of another episode of Writing to the Wall.
What's the nation? Nation is family.
Shut up. Alright, we black. Like I said, we black. We are black. Yeah. But yeah, man. Like I said, bro. Candace Owens, man. She took the I feel like she took the Kanye West approach. She made it to where she was saying all types of random ass bullshit, and then she came out with the real. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't gonna act like she didn't get rich off of, you know what I'm saying, spewing nothing but like bullshit half the time. But a lot of times she was speaking the truth too, though. You know, she speaking on a lot of stuff that, you know what I'm saying, the average person wouldn't speak on, or she know a lot of stuff that really, that the industry and the people who be in higher powers be trying to hide from the people. You know what I'm saying? We know that we are the real Hebrew Israelites at the end of the day. But the people who control America, they don't want us to know. Half of the whole world already know who God's chosen people are. And that's a fact. It's just we got where we living in, USA, and the fake people over here, you know what I'm saying? The fake Jews, trying to control everything so they can be a capitalist and get all the money on and say fuck everybody else and leave everybody down in the dumps while these two motherfuckers win. And it's not like we gonna win, the black people gonna win because we part of America. Hell no. It's two different America. We got white America, we got black America. You know what I'm saying? Half that shit is not coming to us. You get what I'm saying? They want to destroy everything that we got. You feel what I'm saying? They give all our stuff away to the people, fake Jews, while we out here struggling, trying to get by. They cutting Medicaid, they cutting off government assistance, they doing all this bullshit and giving all our money on the way, but not trying to help the people out. And where does that make sense at? But God, Yahweh, is waking up his people and setting things right to what it's supposed to be. And I feel like Candace Owens had got a wake-up call from getting used by the imperialist people, the colonizers, and woke up to the truth of who we are. Or she probably already knew. She was just trying to make her way to get them, you know what I'm saying? But, like I said, man, we gonna speak on the cooning and buffooning, and we gonna speak on the truth. She said. So, like I said, hope Iran win. You know what I'm saying? Black America, we gotta take over and we gotta win and fight for ourselves, because we can't depend on the government. They ain't finna help us out. We gotta fight for ourselves. Hood, Northside, Big Crip, gang, Northside shit.
Hey, Dad, you know, dog, when we link up, dog, this shit be legendary. You know this instrumental, you the engineer on it, so Kodak everywhere.